BYE Boost Your English Episode 42, The End of Books. Hello and welcome to BYE Boost Your English. I'm Sonia, and we are initiating a new, highly demanding series focused on themes of modern relevance, beginning with a fascinating reflection on communication and the future of media. This segment explores an 1894 prophecy, The End of Books, by Octave Uzan, combined with contemporary writings on the evolving speed and structure of modern journalism. This offers a rich array of high-level vocabulary related to foresight, technology, and social change. Listen carefully to the sustained argument that follows, and I will return afterward for our detailed deep dive linguistic segment. Let's begin the reading. The history of the book is the history of civilization. It will not be without a profound melancholy that we shall see it disappear. But the transformation is inevitable, and we must resign ourselves to it. The book, as it is the product of an age of reflection, of meditation, of silent study. The world is becoming more and more a world of action, of movement, of noise. The book can no longer hold its own against the torrent of life. It must adapt itself to the new conditions, or perish. The book, with its cumbersome pages, its heavy typography, its tiresome paper, its bindings that wear out, its illegible type, its innumerable errors, its wearisome reading, its dust and its mold, is a thing of the past. The phonograph is the book of the future. The phonograph is a marvel. It speaks, it sings, it records, it transmits, it multiplies. It is the very voice of the author that you hear, with its inflections, its accent, its pauses, its hesitations. The illusion is perfect. It is the author himself who is addressing you, who is communicating his thought, his soul, his genius. It seems to me, therefore, that the time is not far distant when the book, in its present form, will be abandoned in favor of the phonograph. It will be the great revolution in the history of literature. The book will be preserved in libraries, as a curiosity, as a monument of the past. But for the general public, for the reader of the future, the book will be the phonograph. Imagine the immense library of the future. It will be a vast acoustic labyrinth. All the books will be transformed into phonographic cylinders. They will be stored in cabinets, like phonographic records. The reader will choose his cylinder, put it on his machine, and listen. He will not have to tire his eyes, to turn the pages, to stop at every line. He will listen, and the book will speak. The advantages are immense. The blind will read, or rather hear, as well as the sighted. The old will no longer need spectacles. The sick will read without effort. The student will be able to review his lessons while taking a walk. The traveler will be able to read in the train or in the carriage. The tired worker will be able to listen while resting. The book will be accessible to all, to the rich and to the poor, to the learned and to the ignorant. The phonograph will democratize literature. The author will no longer be obliged to write. He will dictate. He will speak his book. He will improvise. He will communicate his thought in the first flush of inspiration. The publisher will record, reproduce, and sell the cylinders. The critics will no longer read, they will listen, and they will judge the work as a musical composition, as a dramatic performance. The public will no longer read, they will listen, and they will judge the work as a theatrical representation. The great literature of the future will be oral. It will be the literature of the spoken word, of the orator, of the poet, of the dramatist. It will be a literature of sound, of rhythm, of cadence. The writers of the future will be orators, poets, musicians. The reader will be an auditor, a listener. The reading room will be replaced by the listening room. The library will be replaced by the phonographic museum. The author will be judged, not on his style, but on his voice. The voice will be the supreme criterion. The author will have to cultivate his voice, to modulate it, to give it all the inflections and all the nuances of his thought. The author will have to be an actor, a singer, a musician. The book, which is essentially individual, solitary, silent, will be replaced by a collective, public, noisy form of reading. The listener will often be in the company of others. Listening will often be a public performance. The old habit of reading alone, in silence, in concentration, will be lost. People will listen together, in groups, in crowds. It will be the return to the ancient practice of the recitation of the bards, the singing of the troubadours, the reading of the public criers. The era of speed and ubiquity is upon us. The very structure of our mental life is being remodeled by the accelerating pace of information exchange. The personal, internal engagement with the long-form text, the very condition which created the book, is being supplanted by an external, instantaneous, and often collective absorption of data. This phenomenon, which we must examine with a clinical eye, reveals a profound, almost tectonic shift in the substrata of intellectual commerce. The newspaper, once a mere chronicle of events, has swollen into a behemoth, dictating the very rhythm of public consciousness. Its growth has been inordinate, fueled by mechanical advancements which permit a simultaneous, daily inundation of disparate facts upon an unprepared citizenry. The book, requiring patience and sequential reasoning, is ill-equipped to compete with the immediate, visceral appeal of the daily print. The citizen of the future, inundated by this ceaseless torrent of data, will inevitably develop an atrophy of the reflective faculty. The evolution of the news cycle necessitates this analysis. The ability to communicate an event, whether a major diplomatic incident or a trivial scandal, across vast distances in the space of minutes fundamentally alters the value proposition of permanent literature. Why linger over the measured, deliberative prose of a philosopher when the very foundations of one's political and social environment are being redefined by the telegraphed bulletin, the fleeting image, or the recorded voice? The very essence of contemporary existence is defined by this instantaneous promulgation of information. The press, in its modern form, is not merely a transmitter, it is a shaper of reality, a constant companion that bypasses the formal strictures of the academy and the salon. Its pervasive influence upon the common dialect and common thought far outstrips the slow, incremental impact of classic letters. The journalist, once a humble chronicler, is now, de facto, a prime educator and a rapid interpreter of phenomena too complex for the average man to digest unassisted. This acceleration is not merely a matter of speed, it is a revolution of form. The compression of narrative into the headline, the reduction of complexity into the pithy soundbite, or, in Uzan's vision, the modulated voice clip necessitates a new, more economical and often more superficial mode of comprehension. The reader becomes an auditor of compressed information, his mind constantly darting from one stimulus to the next, precluding the deep, sustained focus that built the monuments of traditional literature. Our engagement with the world shifts from a contemplation of durable principles to a ceaseless reaction to transient facts. The demand is not for wisdom, but for immediacy. The citizen, assailed by the latest reports from distant corners of the world, develops a fragmented and ultimately perishable understanding of his own age. The permanence of the printed word, which allowed for review and slow assimilation, is exchanged for the ephemeral, often sensationalized transmission. This preference for the ephemeral, for the spoken and recorded word that exists for the moment, aligns perfectly with the societal shift towards action over reflection. We are evolving into a culture that prefers the dictated insight over the laboriously composed volume. The energy required to read a treatise is redirected into the kinetic act of simply listening while simultaneously engaging in other modern occupations. This new mode of consumption demands a linguistic flexibility. The language of the recording, of the quick bulletin, must be highly evocative yet brief, relying on idiom and rhythm to capture the auditor's attention immediately. The formal syntax of the 18th century is rendered not merely old-fashioned, but structurally impractical for the new speeds of intellectual commerce. The modern ear demands brevity and verve. Ultimately, the vision of the future library as an acoustic maze, a place of listening rather than reading, underscores this profound societal preference. The book, in the end, is an artifact of the pre-electric age, a monument to a slower time. Its gradual obsolescence signals the triumph of the immediate, the spoken, and the universally accessible form of communication over the private, silent, and laboriously printed page. This transition, already fully underway in the 1890s, reveals the true predicament of modern intellectual life. And now for the part of the show where we boost your English by closely examining the highly relevant language used in these prophetic texts on communication. We have selected 15 high-level words and formal phrases essential for discussing media, society, and change. Let's dive in. Profound melancholy. Uzan notes that we shall see the book disappear with a profound melancholy. Melancholy is a formal noun for a deep, pervasive sadness or gloom. The adjective profound emphasizes the depth of this feeling, suggesting a significant, not trivial, sadness. Example: the decline of the old industry was viewed by the community with a profound melancholy. Cumbersome pages. The book is criticized for its cumbersome pages. Cumbersome is an adjective meaning large or heavy and therefore difficult to carry or handle, unwieldy. Here, it is used metaphorically to suggest the physical inconvenience of the traditional book. Example: the old manual was so cumbersome that nobody bothered to read it. First flush of inspiration. The author will dictate, communicating his thought in the first flush of inspiration. This is a beautiful idiom. Flush here means a surge, rush, or sudden flow. The phrase denotes the initial, most powerful moment of creative energy or idea generation. Example: he wrote the first chapter in the first flush of inspiration, but then struggled to finish. Acoustic labyrinth. The future library is envisioned as a vast acoustic labyrinth. Labyrinth is a formal noun for a complicated, intricate network of passages or pathways, a maze. Acoustic modifies it to imply a maze defined by sound, a sophisticated term for a complex listening environment. Example: The old market, with its narrow alleys, was a spatial labyrinth. The bards, the troubadours, the public criers. The return to public listening is compared to these historical figures. Bards, Celtic poets who recited heroic verse, troubadours, medieval composers, performers of lyric poetry, and public criers, official news deliverers. This is rhetorical depth, not just a vocabulary list, establishing a historical precedent. Example: the politician, with his dramatic delivery, seemed to channel the spirit of the ancient bards. Ubiquity is upon us. The text mentions the era of speed, and ubiquity is upon us. Ubiquity is a formal noun meaning the state of being everywhere at once, or seeming to be everywhere at once. It is a key term for discussing modern connectivity and media presence. Example: the ubiquity of smartphones has completely redefined social interaction. Inordinate. The newspaper's growth has been inordinate. Inordinate is an adjective meaning unusually or disproportionately large, excessive. It's a formal and critical term for describing something that has grown out of its proper bounds. Example: the company demanded an inordinate amount of data before making a decision. Disparate facts. The public receives a simultaneous, daily inundation of disparate facts. Disparate is an adjective meaning essentially different in kind, not able to be compared. It highlights the lack of connection or organization in the news torrent. Example: the report contained many disparate facts that needed to be synthesized into a conclusion. Atrophy of the reflective faculty. The modern citizen will develop an atrophy of the reflective faculty. Atrophy is a formal or medical term meaning wasting away or degeneration. Reflective faculty is the capacity for deep thought. The phrase means the ability to reflect will weaken due to lack of use. Example: prolonged isolation can lead to an atrophy of social skills. Promulgation. The core of modern existence is the instantaneous promulgation of information. Promulgation is a formal noun meaning the action of promoting or making widely known an idea or cause, publication. Example: the committee was responsible for the promulgation of the new building safety codes. Outstrips. The press's influence far outstrips the slow, incremental impact of classic letters. To outstrip is a verb meaning to move faster than and overtake someone or something, or to exceed or surpass. It is used here to emphasize the magnitude of influence. Example: the rapid expansion of the urban area soon outstripped the city's infrastructure capacity. Pithy soundbite. The text mentions the reduction of complexity into the pithy soundbite. Pithy is an adjective meaning concise and forcefully expressive. Soundbite refers to a short, striking quotation taken from an interview or broadcast. This is a very relevant term for media analysis. Example: his political speech was composed mostly of pithy soundbites that lacked real policy substance. Transient facts. Our engagement shifts from principles to a ceaseless reaction to transient facts. Transient is an adjective meaning lasting only for a short time, impermanent. The contrast with durable principles is essential to the argument. Example: the politician's popularity was entirely transient, it disappeared after the election. Laboriously composed volume. This phrase contrasts with the dictated insight. Laboriously is an adverb meaning in a way that requires considerable effort and time. A laboriously composed volume emphasizes the hard work and time invested in writing traditional books. Example: the historical dictionary was a laboriously composed volume that took decades to complete. Predicament. The conclusion refers to the true predicament of modern intellectual life. Predicament is a formal noun meaning a difficult, perplexing, or dangerous situation. It stresses the gravity and complexity of the intellectual challenges posed by the new media. Example: the company found itself in a severe financial predicament after the merger failed. That concludes our deep dive. This was a substantial challenge in immersion and high-level vocabulary, perfectly aligning with your goals to master formal English. Thank you for your concentrated listening. What are your thoughts on this vision of the future? We would love to hear your feedback, ideas, and requests in the comment section below. Let's build a space for mutual respect and shared learning. Keep boosting your English. Bye for now.
Keep boosting your English.